All right, my friends, how are you today? Well, it's the 30th of September, 2019, and in today's daily horoscope, I did it last night about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I knew as soon as it left my mouth, I said, "Oh, I let the cat out of the bag on that one, and it's time to start talking about this stuff." And thank you for a few of you reached out today and have encouraged me to do so. Astrology is thick, my friends. It's very thick. And God, there's so much beauty to it, and there's so much, there's the evolutionary astrology, which I talk about every day. I talk about the placement of where everything's at and how it relates to our lives on a blanket in general level. And then when you know your own personal chart, which I just did that chart, chart interpretation of myself to show you, if I read your chart, I can, help kind of put all these pieces together. I don't even know if I did that good of a job reading my own chart, but it is what it is. It's so much different when I'm actually working with somebody. Nonetheless, let's get on with this here. Today I'm going to talk about astrotheology. All right, this is something that's been on my mind since I was this big. All right, since a wee little boy. All right, since a little Aaron was raised as a young Christian man. All right, so I grew up in the church. Grew up in the church my whole life, and I had a lot of questions. All right, now if you just watch my little chart interpretation, my Uranus, my Neptune, and Jupiter all in the sign of Sagittarius in the fourth house. This is heart and home and center for me. It means I like to know the information. I don't want to, not that I'm a doubter, I don't believe you, but I want to cross check your facts. I want to get it straight. I want to know that it's real, So as a young man, I had a lot of questions that no one could answer. I had a lot of questions in the church that no pastor could answer. A lot of questions with a lot of different pastors, a lot of different ministers that people couldn't answer. And it led me down a path of digging deep and searching and searching and searching and searching. Now, I'm 36. 10 years ago, I was 26 years old, is when I fell on this information and have been burying my face in astrology since then. And it wasn't until, the past year or so that I've been more verbal about astrology. Again, showing, my chart, my Mercury in Capricorn squared by Saturn, it's hold back until it's right and ready, There's no point in pulling a diamond out of the if a diamond's not ready, it's like that pressure creates it, okay? So it was all about the right timing. Evidently, today's the right timing. We have that septile from Mercury up to Jupiter today. So it's like, all right, let's talk about some of this stuff. This is some of the deeper aspects of astrology that have been like hitting my head against a wall to find. It's not easy to find this stuff. And when you do, you find people talking for 2 to 5 hours, and there's a minute, 2 minutes of that 5-hour talk that breaches on this. And I'm doing it now. I'm not getting to the core of it. I'm talking about it before talking about it. So I guess let's get into it. God, where to start with this? God, there's a good one. Jesus. I'm a part of this group too called the Curious Soul Group on Facebook, and someone asked, "Who is Jesus?" I used to be a devout Christian, and I'm losing, I shouldn't say losing faith, but just having doubts that he was a real person that walked this earth and all these things. Now, this is controversial. If there's children in the room, if you're watching this, I would just probably not, or pause and save it for later. I'm not going to curse or anything, but, I'm going to say some things that might be controversial. It's like the day you found out Santa wasn't real. My sister told me, thanks, Renee. And the moment those words left her lips, I knew that was the truth. It didn't matter how many times my parents told me the story of Santa Claus. It didn't matter how many presents that I'd received from Santa. The moment my sister said, "Santa's not real, Aaron," I knew that was the ultimate truth. I knew it. There was very little. And again, I had years and years and years. I don't know, maybe I was 6, 7 years old. I have no idea how old. Maybe I was 5. I have no idea. She was older than me by 3 years. So It's like years and years of conditioning that this is real, that this is reality. Then one sentence changed my whole reality as a young child, okay? And same thing kind of happened with astrology. Let's talk about the solstice, okay? Latin. Sol, S-O-L, is the sun, okay? Solstice, sistere, means to stand still. So the root of solstice is sol sistere, to stand still. The sun stands still. Now when it reaches the north and the north and the south, okay? Now the summer solstice is on June 21st. Now if you look on a globe, most globes have this. I don't know if you have a globe in your house or what, you have access to globes, like Mr. Belvedere. Anyway, there's a figure 8 pattern on the globe. And at the very top of that figure 8 is the summer solstice, and at the very bottom is the winter solstice, okay? Sun standing still. It's the day the sun stops and then begins its journey back up, the day the sun stops and begins its journey back down. So this happens on June 21st in the northern hemisphere at the summer solstice, and in the southern hemisphere, the winter solstice on December 21st, okay? This is very important. Sun stands still. The sun stops moving. The sun dies. Where does it die? In the south. There is a 5-star pattern that's called the Southern Crux, okay? Alpha Crucis, Beta Crucis, Theta Crucis, 2 more, whatever. Not the important thing. But it's the Southern Crux, okay? It's visible from the southern hemisphere all the time. 5 very bright stars in the sky, okay? We can see them in the northern hemisphere in wintertime for like an hour or 2 a day, and that's about it. So the sun stands still. When does the sun stand still? On the 21st of December. For how long does the sun stand still for? For 3 days. When does the sun start moving again? Basically, on December 21st, the solstice, the sun reaches the lowest point in the night sky, the lowest point of the southern hemisphere, okay? It resides in a place called the Southern Crux, or the Southern Cross of the zodiac, okay? For 3 days, the sun stops moving north. Perceivably. The sun doesn't stop moving, but it stops moving north, meaning it goes all the way down and it stays there, perceivably, from Earth's perspective, okay? Then on the 25th of December, the sun rises 1 degree north. The sun is born again, the sun shining its light on humanity, shedding its light on Earth. We know that since the sun is coming back, signs of spring are going to come. That means fruit, our foods, life is going to blossom and bloom, okay? Now, if on December 25th, every single year, if by chance the sun didn't move that 1 degree north, we would know. We would know that something is slipping, astronomically and astrologically. Astronomers would be all over that, okay? This is well-known facts. Again, my Mercury in Capricorn, squared by Saturn. It's like study this so that you're not talking out the side of your mouth, that you're bringing presentable facts. All right. So the sun dies on the cross and rises. The sun is born again on December 25th. Okay. This is a representation of the S-U-N, the sun, not the S-O-N. This is the Son of God, the sun bringing light to humanity. Okay. Yeah. Where do I follow that up with? This isn't scripted. I'm just kind of going with it here, So the sun dies of the cross. Now, here, if we go to the Bible, when Jesus is on the cross, someone throws a spear in his left side, okay? His left side. Now, if you're looking at, let me pull it up here. If you're looking at a chart, this isn't a very good example. Never mind. If you're looking at a chart, well, we have Capricorn. So here's the middle, the line for you, this would be Cancer here, Leo here, and then up here, this is going to be Sagittarius and Capricorn. Okay, Sagittarius, Capricorn. So on the 21st, okay, this is the solstice. This is when the sun stands still. This is the top, all right? This is when the sun changes from Sagittarius into Capricorn. That's when this solstice happens. That's when the sun dies on the cross. So what is the sign of Sagittarius? What is the character? It's a centaur, right? It's a man top half with horse legs on the bottom half. He's an archer. He's got a bow and arrow, okay? In some representations, in some he's got a spear. The spear in the side of Jesus' side, you get what I'm saying, is a representation knowing that we're coming from the sign of Sagittarius into the sign of Capricorn. It's when we go from this to this, when the pendulum swings here into the winter months. That spear is pointing toward Capricorn, okay? So the spear in the side of Jesus is Sagittarius in the side pointing to the sun dying on the cross, showing this is wintertime. Winter is coming. Harvest season. Whatever that means for whatever time people were alive at. Winter, winter is death. All right, now let's talk about Venus. Venus, Lucifer means light bearer, okay? Literally, the literal translation of Lucifer is light bringer, light bearer in Latin, okay? Has nothing to do with an angel, has nothing to do with a deity. Light bearer means Venus. All right, referring to the planet Venus. Venus is the brightest star in the sky in the morning and in the night. And it switches every 9 months, depending on what side of the earth it's on, or what side of the sun it's on. Every 9 months, okay? So, for 9 months of the year, it's the morning star. Then, Earth passes Venus, then it's the evening star, okay? So, when we have those biblical quotes of, morning star, how you've fallen from the heavens. Let's talk about that for a second. If you read the Bible, and if you really read it, there is no word for sky. They're talking about heaven. Heaven is the sky. Look at Genesis 1:14, and God placed the stars, the sun, and the moon in the heavens, or in the heaven, to be used as symbols and signs to separate day and night, okay? This is one of the most beautiful verses, because, since I've been doing this, God, the Christians have come out of the woodworks to attack me, when I share this stuff on social media, on Facebook or whatever. And some of them are like my friends that have turned Christian, and I'm just like, you don't know what you're talking about. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that that astrology is bad. Trust me, I've read every freaking verse. Now, there is like 2 that say, that put astrology with like the witchcraft and things like that. And it's just like, it says something like, they will, I don't have the verse pulled up in front of me. But either way, like, it's just not. They're not as a negative, like, don't listen to astrologers. That's just not in the Bible. It's really not. It clearly states right in the beginning that these are used as symbols. Okay, again, it separates days, months, years, and it also separates the ages, okay? So we'll get to the ages in just a moment. Bear with me. This is a lot of information to take in today. Okay, so Venus, Lucifer, light bringer, light bearer, morning star, how you've fallen from the heavens, the angel that's fallen from the heavens. We're talking about a planet. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about a planet that moved from one position to another. This is a natural cycle. It happens every 9 months. And you can fact check me. Everything I'm saying here today, please look this stuff up. I mean, it's cut and dry once you start to look for it. It's very easy to find. All right? So Venus is Lucifer. Okay. Now, interesting note, I put out a video a couple months ago, or a month or so ago, about Venus when we had the Earth-Venus connection, which happens, again, every 9 months. Now, this is Fibonacci numbers. This is sacred geometry. All right. Every 13 Venus years is 8 Earth years. 13 and 8. Okay. Every 13 Venus years and 8 Earth years, they line up 5 times. If you're familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, 1 and 1 is 1. 2, 1. It's like a precise mathematical equation that we all fit in. The sunflower seeds or acorns, it's this golden ratio, this golden spiral. So it's you take 1 and then the previous number and you add it and you move forward. So it's 0 and 1 is 1. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 1 is 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, 233, so on and so forth. And when you take that 144 into 233 and you divide them, it creates this beautiful golden ratio, which is known as the key ingredient to life. All right. So this is sacred geometry that's happening around the sun. All right. And I talked about this in the video too. You know, they're forming a perfect pentagram around the sun. If you're looking at it from a heliocentric and an optical point of view, or on top point of view going around, you know, they line up, all those 5 times they line up is a star. It creates a 5-point star or pentagram. Now it's important to understand there's 2 sides of that pentagram and what it represents. One is spirituality and the 4 elements here. Okay, so we have spirituality, my connection with source. Okay, then we have my connection with the 4 elements, earthly things. Okay. Now in Satanism, we turn this upside down, and what we're doing is we're putting our earthly desires, earthly things, before my connection with source, my connection with self. Okay. When it goes back up this way, when that 5-pointed star is pointed north, okay, it's my relationship with myself, my relationship with all that is number 1. My relationship with spirituality. Now we'll talk about spirituality, we're talking about breath. All right, spirit, spiritus. This is Latin as well, okay? It means breath. To inspire means to inhale. To expire means to exhale. To perspire means to breathe through. Or to breathe in, to breathe out, to breathe through. It means to breathe, okay? Spire means breathe, breath. So when we're talking about spirit has left his body, right? We're talking about the breath has left his body. We are all one spirit, we're all one breath. We all breathe the same air. We're all connected with this fabric of life that we cannot see, this spirit, okay? When we're talking about spirit, we're not necessarily talking about our consciousness. We're talking about a spiritual being. We're talking about our connection with our breath, our connection with us, our connection with source, okay? So, moving forward. When we get into now Saturn, in traditional astrology, Saturn was the limit. Okay, Uranus wasn't discovered then. This was as far as the Greeks could see. Saturn was the limit, and it was their philosophy that the Earth, to be embodied here in this meat suit here on Earth, that we had to pass through the gateway, the portal of Saturn, which is the definition of the 3rd dimension. This is reality. Okay, so things. All right. Again, the laws of reality, we can't change those. Doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. Gravity is real. You can't fight gravity. You know, you can learn to work with it, just like friction. You can learn to work with it, but to go against it is you're going to be fighting the rest of your entire life. All right. So Saturn was known as the limit in older astrology, the limit. And Lord of Karma, Kronos, okay? Kronos. So if you're familiar with Kronos, Kronos is Uranus' son. At the beginning, okay, in the beginning, this is in Genesis, there was just water, all right? There was just water. Gaia was water, all right? They called it the earth, but it was just water. If you read the Bible, it was just water. Gaia was lonely, and she created Uranus, the breakthrough, the Yaha. Okay, Gaia and Uranus created babies. Now these were titans. This is old mythology. These titans, you know. You know, when we're going a bit of Greek mythology with Christian as well, you know, it's like in the beginning there was the water. Then the water formed the earth. Okay, the water, the nurturing mother, created the earth. The earth is the kind of the masculine. The water is the feminine. All right, Uranus, you know, ate Kronos. He ate all of his babies because he was afraid that they would grow up and overpower him one day. Okay, so Gaia hid. Again, this is mythology, guys. I'm talking about this for a reason, but we're coming back to like the reality of where we are now in a moment. You know, Kronos came back and killed Uranus, okay? And Uranus, the spirit of Uranus came back to Kronos, Saturn, and said, the same thing will happen to you and your sons, okay? This is where we get that karmic lesson from, okay? So this is like Greek mythology, Saturn, Saturnian limit, Saturnian karmic events, okay? And what happened? Saturn's son, Kronos, as soon as he had, a child, he would eat them. And, there's like really disturbing images of Kronos eating babies, and then his wife escaped down to Earth and had a child, which was Zeus. And Zeus came back up and ended up killing Kronos, okay? Karmically, just like Uranus had said, come back around. So we have this, again, that's just a story, these anthropomorphized characteristics, these stories that are shared to give these stars or planets meaning and names. I mean, we didn't have the internet 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. We didn't have these same things. Our sense of storytelling, we used what we had, and what we had were the planets, were the stars. We had fixed stars, and planet in Greek, it was anything that wandered the night sky. The planet literally means wanderer. So that's why in astrology we consider the moon and the sun planets, although they're not really planets in how we define them today. They're things that wander in the night sky. So our ancestors understood these fixed energies, or these fixed stars, and the planets that wandered, these moving balls that wandered, and they gave them, these deity, God kind of names, or anthropomorphized. They gave them these things. So Saturn was the limit. Saturn and Satan is the same thing, and that's literally something I've been studying and looking up, and it's like you can dig down that. And even if you dig into Christianity, when it's talking about, the Bible's full of beautiful metaphors, but they're absolutely metaphors. Let's get it. Let's jump into there. All right. Christianity is the age of Pisces, Jesus, the two fish. All right. 4,000 years. Let's talk about Moses for a second. I don't know how long I've been talking now, but bear with me. This is a lot of information, okay? But I got to share it. So Moses. You guys know the story of Moses, all right? Moses came down with the two tablets, the stone tablets, and he saw his people worshiping a golden calf, okay? And he was very mad, and he made these people destroy the golden calf. And he destroyed the tablets, okay? He destroyed his iPad and made them destroy this golden calf. And we were no longer in the age of Taurus. We're in the age of Aries. Aries, the ram, represented by the ram's horn, Judaism, okay? The age of Taurus had ended. Now we're talking about the precession of the equinox, all right, which moves backwards like the north nodes. So our earliest records to date show the age of Taurus, okay? We have these monolithic structures here on planet Earth, these beautiful pyramids, what is Taurus? My kingdom, right? My kingdom. So we have these beautiful, creations, very physical, very real things that happened here on the planet. All right. Then after the age of Taurus is Aries, the ram, Judaism, right? Judaism, the ram's horn, and which is also represented by a lamb. Okay. If you look back to old depictions of the sun, the cross. Okay, you'll see a lamb in the middle, not a picture of Jesus. You see a lamb, and you'll see a lion, a dove, a bull, a dove, and a human. Okay, an angel or something like that. This is the fixed cross. This is Taurus, the bull, Leo, the lion. Scorpion has three archetypes. Okay, first it's the scorpion or the snake that's beneath the surface. Then it transcends up into the eagle. Okay, which is still a bird of prey, but it's above. And then its third and final transformation, it's the only one that has three archetypes, is the dove. It's a bird of peace. It's a symbol of peace, okay? So that's the transformation of Scorpio into that sense of peace. And then Aquarius, the human, the water bearer, okay? So we've seen this symbol before. It's an ancient old old paintings. The lamb is the sun, it's the cross, and then it's the zodiac, and then we see these 4 images, and it's just like, okay, what are those? Well, that's is the zodiac, okay? Jesus and the sun, okay, split into those 4. These are the 4 signs, 4 seasons. The 12 disciples are the 12 signs of the zodiac. Okay, so this is a story about Jesus the sun traveling around the 12 signs of the zodiac. All right, that's what the Bible is. That's what a lot of these stories have to do with. Now, in the Bible, we're talking about Piscean era. All right, what is Pisces? Again, Pisces is the 2 fish. Pisces is that Christ conscious mind, the enlightened mind, okay, where we've been for the past 2,000 years. After Judaism came Pisces. Okay, so Taurus, Aries, Pisces. Okay, after Pisces, Aquarius, or preceding rather, Precession. Okay, so now let's talk about Jesus for a second. He fed everyone in the village with a loaf of bread and 2 fish. Okay, the ichthus symbol. The ichthus symbol, this, am I making it right here on the screen? Okay, so that symbol, of 2 passengers walking down, one would draw a half arc into the sand. And if they were a follower of Christ, if they were a follower of the age of Pisces, okay, very important. If they were a follower of the age of Pisces, they would draw the other half arc in there. If they were not, this is a way they could communicate without, saying, hey, I believe in this, and being murdered or fight or whatever. Now, let's go back to this age of Taurus. When Moses came down here, this is the key for me. I mean, everything else I'm saying is important, but this is the key. All right. When Moses came down with those tablets and made those people destroy that golden calf they were worshiping, this is where we're at right now. All right. We have changed. Let me say one thing before I finish that thought. Okay. Piscean era Jesus. In the Bible, I don't have the quote pulled up in front of me exactly where this is, but please just type this in Google. You'll find it very easily. And they ask Jesus, on what happens at the end of your age? And he'll say, at the end of my age, at the end of my era, depending on what you're reading, follow me into the city, where you'll meet a man bearing water. Okay? Follow him. The man bearing water is Aquarius, the water bearer. Okay? That happens preceding Pisces. Okay? Very, 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 very important. Okay, so as of December 21st, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, this was the change from Piscean age to the age of Aquarius. Okay, what is the age of Aquarius? The technological revolution. This is the digital world. Okay, we're losing a lot of the analog stuff. Technology is taking over. Okay, it's smartphones and smart cars and all of this stuff. We can see it's very relevant, and it has been building up since like the 70s and 80s. So back to the bull and Moses. Now, Moses, this man who came down with the tablets and made them destroy that golden calf. That golden calf they had been worshiping their entire lives. All right? That golden calf they've been worshiping their whole lives. They know nothing else but this golden calf. Not golden, but they know nothing besides the age of Taurus. They know the age of Taurus, the bull. And they were transitioning into Aries. All right? And Moses knew we had to cut the ties of the old in order to move on with the new. This is a natural progression of humanity and life on this planet. Okay? So we have ended the age of Pisces and moving into the age of Aquarius on December 21st, 2012. Well, now that was 7 years ago. Now, if you go back to like Constantine stuff, we know that the Bible had been around but really wasn't implemented proper and fully for about 150 years. Like the Gregorian calendar really wasn't implemented about 150 years after this story and all of this stuff took place, which threw off our personal timeline. But if you talk to astronomers and astrologers, it's a big blip. There's a line right here, and it's like an arc, like amplitude, like sound waves. And there's a defining moment of when it goes below and above. December 21st, 2012 we crossed that line, okay? We know we are in another age. We know we are in a new era. But what we are doing is holding on for dear lives to that golden calf, okay? That golden calf in this day and age is Christianity, is the modern religions that we have right now, okay? And we are going to see a transition happening where those modern religions are going to fall, okay? This is the natural order of things. Now, for me, I want to help be a pillow for that. I want to soften that blow, because when you've got, Moses just telling you to destroy this idol of Jesus, and it is an idol, something that I've noticed was a small child, I'm sorry, but it says do not, worship any false idols or idols. And we have this image of this man on a cross, okay? Now, I just talked earlier in this, we know that cross is really the southern crux of the zodiac. The sun dies on the cross, okay? Alpha Crucis, crucified, okay? The sun dies on that cross and rises on the 25th. Every year, that is showing signs of light for humanity, that there's going to be life here in the northern hemisphere. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, this happens every year. This is an astrological event. This is a fact. We know that we're moved into the Age of Aquarius. And now what's going to happen? What can we see happen? As we know, history repeats itself, the natural order of things. Now, thankfully, Judaism and Christianity played together. And I'm hoping that happens with this next realm. As we're going to see people start to act out violently toward the religions, the modern religions. Because again, you're going to have modern day trying to destroy the old. Okay? Just like Moses told them to destroy that golden calf. Again, it's all they worship their entire lives. No longer, so it's like we've been worshiping this idea, this thing for so long. And it's like, come on, and like on certain aspects, like where is it for like, the homosexual couples that are trying to be married that can't do it in a church because it's against God's laws, but yet God is in this infallible thing that created these people who found love with one another. This is like a judgment that is so out there that it doesn't belong anymore. It doesn't fit our world. Again, with how Christianity views women in the Bible. And I mean, it's absurd. It's like, it's a part of this patriarchy that needs to die. It needs to die. These old mentality, it's sad. It's very sad. And it's just like where we need to be moving forward to is community. And that's what Aquarius is all about. It's about community. It's about us working and living together. All right. Humanitarian. All right. Something that scares me that I see is there's this, like this, I mean, I wish I could have this individual conversation with every single person, but they're like, so over in Asia, I believe it's China, people eat alone all the time. Okay. So they have small apartments to eat alone. So what they do is they watch, I think it's called mukbang. All right. They watch other people eating food. So it makes them feel comfortable to eat with them. All right. Now I had watched, it was about 15 of these young Chinese guys. It might have been South Korea. I don't know. Forgive me. I don't remember exactly where it was at. Either way, 15 of these young men got to meet their favorite mukbang superstar or whatever. Okay, this pretty girl that eats the food. So they had the opportunity to go out and have a real dinner with her, a real meal with her. And every single one of them was on their phone, and she was on her phone as well, live broadcasting her eating with these guys, and they were all watching her. So the stimulation, okay, it's like pornography right now. It's like we got to, get rid of this, stop watching porn. It's ruining our relationships, There's a lot of things that are ruining relationships between men and women right now. That's a big one. So it's just like we have a screen, this filter in between us and a very real person sitting in front of us. Okay? Technology. We have technology as a filter in between humanity. All right, it's like this is something that's a serious concern. That in the age of Aquarius is about humanity. It's about community and bringing community back together. So it's like that story. It's like, oh my God, they have the opportunity to have a real experience. To watch the concert without, through the filter of their phone. But we're choosing to do this. As a photographer, I remember I got the opportunity to photograph one of my favorite bands. All right, one of my favorite bands. I've seen them more than any other group, and I finally got a pass to shoot their show. I don't remember the set list. I couldn't tell you. I'm running around so much, making sure that I'm doing a job, that I'm performing, that I'm capturing the image, that I wasn't able to really be present in that moment and experience it, right? So these are things that we can kind of foresee happening. Like, we're so wrapped up in technology, we're so wrapped up in this lack of community, sense of feeling alone and out of place, and all of these things, that it's terrible. You know, it's a detriment. This is something that's making us worse as human beings. You know, there's separatedness, you know, and this race wars and the, you know, sex wars and all these things. It's like, we all are people. We need food and shelter and love and touch, you know, and to be compassionate and listening. And it's just like, you know, I love my friends that are about aliens and stuff. But it's like, we have aliens living next door. It's people that are different that from you, you know, that you'll never speak to because they see something different. You know, I saw this thing, now I don't agree with it, something about, you know, possibly in Iran, fathers being able to marry their daughters or something, and I see some people posting about that. No, it's terrible. Obviously, that's in our world here, in our perspective here in the United States, that's not something we agree with. That's wrong, immoral, and, you know, there's plenty of adjectives of why not. Okay, but that's not. I don't know. They're, you know, so it's like aliens. What if that's how all aliens were? What if all aliens were they only married their daughters? You know, it's like, we're so judging. That's why you know, it's like, if they did exist, it's probably why they're not going to be present. You know, can you sit down with your neighbor and not judge them and for their differences? Can you sit down with someone who has a different religious view than you? You know, my religious views have gone way out there. You know, and if I started talking about some of this stuff with people, you know, folks just try to convince me how everything in the Bible should be taken word for word, and it's just like, man, you start unraveling these pieces and it jumps out at you. This information jumps out at you. And it's just like, these are beautiful stories. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stories that are helped us. I mean, if you look back at the book of Leviticus, you know, it's talking about how to clean meat so you can have clean meat and you don't die when you eat it, so that you're not cutting into, you know, the vein or the sac that's going to release the poison into the meat and soil it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's not just, there's these beautiful stories in here. All right, but we're changing. We're moving on to the age of Aquarius. The age of Pisces must fall. Okay, that is very, very important. And as it's going to fall, there's going to be people holding on to that golden calf, that golden bull, because it's all they knew. There's going to be people holding on to that cross, holding on to that image of Jesus. And Jesus is an anthropomorphized character of the sun that gives light to earth, gives light to humanity. Without that big fire in the sky, we would cease to exist. You know? I didn't hit every single thing in here today that, you know, but that's a lot of information. So big picture for me, I want to help spread this. I want to help share with people to kind of take the story off of Santa Claus. You know, if Saint Nicholas was a real man, he might have well been a real man. And what he did was wonderful. But the fact is, Santa Claus isn't real. Santa's not real. And there's in my generation, you know, just like I talked about earlier, you know, my sister told me, I knew that this was ultimate truth. And whenever I have children, there's no way I would ever tell them about Santa Claus. And I know friends of mine nowadays that do not tell their kids about Santa Claus. Why? Because it's a lie. Because it's not truthful. And further, they say, I bought this for my child. You know, have you seen a kid? You say, oh, well, you know, you broke your toy. Be careful with that. Oh, whatever. Santa got it for me. You know, it's like they don't understand the care that their parents actually worked hard for this and thought about them and cared about them. This is just a gift that they received from an imaginary figure because they were good. It's like, there's no way I would lie to my, whenever I have kids, and tell them that this Santa is real. And I have a friend that recently had kids, and I asked him, I said, are you gonna do the Santa Claus thing? And he says, I don't want to, but my wife kind of does. But we're concerned. He says, we might do it because of the other kids in class. We might tell her the story of Santa so that she's not the one in class that tells the truth. And it's just like, well, that's up to the kid. It's not up to me, in my opinion. That's up to the kid. It's up to you as the adult to tell the truth. And as you're giving that truth to that child, you give it to them with responsibility, hopefully, and you say, look, everybody believes something differently, and some people believe in Santa Claus and some people don't. So we're going to keep that to ourselves. We're not going to talk about, Santa or whatever, so that's like, cross that bridge when you get there, but you get what I'm going. So now here they are, they're thinking, well, we might continue the lie because of other parents continuing to lie for their kids. And we don't want to hurt other people's kids if our daughter knows the truth and shares the truth with the kids that only know the lie. What? Man, we're just going to keep the lie going. We're just going to keep the lie going and keep it going. And no. I'm saying no. And there's plenty of people. I am far from the only person that's out here talking about this stuff. Again, I learned about this 10 years ago. And it took me 10 years of research and studying to see if what I found was true. And everything I've come across is saying yes, 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 yes. Everything I've shared with you today, you can, again, fact check me. Look this stuff up. If you're still following along here, I don't know how long I've been talking. I'm about to wrap it up. My goal here is to add a pillow to those people who are Christians, who have questions, or for when this time comes that we see people destroying the golden calf, when we see other people destroying Christianity, which I can foresee happening when Neptune hits Aries in 2025. We're talking about religious warfare. Pluto's going to hit Aquarius in 2024. Saturn's going to hit Aquarius 2021. We're moving forward, and there's nothing stopping this wrecking ball. Nothing. So we can share information that's going to help humanity out, or we can hold on to an old dying tradition. We can hold on to Santa Claus and keep telling that lie. And it's hard because, again, there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful stories in religion. There's a lot of beautiful stories in the Bible, but about Jesus is an anthropomorphized character of the sun. And the stories, and you break it down and you get into it. I'm not going to jump in there yet, but they even say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the four seasons. You can really break it down in astrologically, and it's all there. So if this is your first time experiencing some of this information, please have fun. There's a lot of it out there, and train's moving forward now. So have a good day. Namaste. I don't know. How do you wrap this one up? I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me. For those that were curious about all of this, thank you. Thank you for if you're watching. Thanks for watching along with me. This is a big journey here that we're all on together. We're all in this transition process, going from one old tradition into starting something very, very new, which is what humanity needs. This is a big turning point for all of us. And the fact that we chose to come to Earth now. We chose to come to Earth. We chose this body. We chose our parents. We chose our experiences. I chose my parents, my Christian family, so that I could have a Christian upbringing, so that I could, but my planetary alignment said I needed to question all of this stuff, but be nurturing, be compassionate, because the last thing that I want to do, again, if you followed me with me sharing my chart with you, my North Node in Cancer, my North Node and Moon in Cancer, I don't want, some people, Some people take information like this and they want to use it as a bat with frickin' barbed wire bat, and they say, here you think you know it's real, and just club people. And that is not what I want to do, because it's not, we didn't know. I don't think my pastor knew this information. I don't think any of my pastors knew this stuff. I don't think any of them, not even remotely close to observed or tried to learn. And again, since YouTube and since all of this information is out there, it's so much easier to obtain this knowledge right now. And it's like when you start looking, it's like, holy smokes, this knowledge has been out there for a long time, but it's been hard to get it all into one place. And then you're dealing with people who think you're a kook or a conspiracy theorist or whatever, and it's just like, no, actually they're onto some pretty serious stuff here. So it's like, for me, I want to be that pillow, that blow. I want to help people in this transition. I don't want to club them on the head and say, ha, you were wrong, idiot. It's like, no, I was wrong. We were all told something. And now we get to see Santa Claus for what it is. And that's all it is. We're removing the veil. We're taking the mask off of the story. And we're seeing the story for exactly what it is. We're talking about planetary alignments. We're talking about understanding where we are at, which is why I do this evolutionary astrology every single day, to show us where we're at as humans, where we're moving forward to. We're in this balancing place of Libra right now, where our relationships are very important. We're clinging on to the people that we need to, that are going to help us propel into the future that we need to. Information is coming out. Balancing scales of Libra, changing our government, Pluto up in Capricorn and Saturn in Capricorn, making this meeting on, January 12th of 2020. This is serious times. Huge changes in our government, huge changes in our world are happening. And with this knowledge, we can stay kind of one step ahead. With this knowledge, we can say, oh my God, I kind of saw this coming. And again, we're talking 2025 when Neptune moves into Aries. We can expect to see a greater sense of force with this. Right now, it's loose. Neptune is loose, is in Pisces, and it's still dreaming. Once it hits Aries, we're going, and it's like there's nothing is going to stop this. It's like religious warfare. I mean, it's what it is. When you look at the chart and you look at Neptune into Aries. Holy wars. You look at holy wars. There's nothing is going to stop this greater idea. Nothing is going to stop this greater idea. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. Nothing's stopping this thing in motion. It's in motion. It is what it is. So it's like, you're going to fight gravity, or are we going to fight friction, or are we going to mold and be along for the ride? So I am molding, and I'm along for the ride, and I want to help others along the way mold. And that's it. That's it for now, for today, for this. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for encouraging to spill the beans, let the cat out of the bag. We'll talk to you later.